Chapter 4. South Boston, Massachusetts, Earth, 2 August 1953. He was on his way home from the 10 o'clock at Our Lady, toting Sunday papers and some groceries Pa had remembered they were out of, when he got the familiar, awful feeling, and said to himself, "No, I'm outside, away from her, it can't be." But it was. Sour spit came up in his throat and his knees went wobbly, and the shared pain started glowing blue inside his head. The pain of somebody dying who would take him along if he wasn't careful. But he was outside, in the sunshine, more than 6 blocks from home, far beyond her reach. It couldn't be her, hurting and demanding. Not out here. It never happened out here. It happened in a dark room, cluttered and musty, where a candle in a blue glass cup burned in front of one sorrowful mother, the one with 7 swords through her naked pink heart, and the other one lay on her bed, with the beads tangled in her bony fingers, and her mind entreating him. "Pray a miracle, Keir. It's a test, you see. He always lets those he loves best suffer. Pray hard. You must. If you don't, there'll be no miracle. He won't listen." The full force of the transmitted agony took hold of him as he turned the corner onto D Street. Traffic was fairly heavy even at this early hour, when most of Southie drowsed or marked time until the last mass let out, and the sandlot ball games got underway and the taverns opened. But there wasn't another person in sight on the dirty sidewalks. Nobody could be hurting, demanding, calling. Oh, not a person. An animal, dying. He saw it, halfway down the block, in the gutter in front of McNulty's dry cleaning and alterations. A dog, hit by a car most likely, and geez, he'd have to go right by it unless he went way around it by the playground, and the groceries were so heavy, and it was so rotten hot, and the pleading was irresistible, and he did want to see. It was a mutt without a collar, a white terrier mix with its coat all smeared red and brown with blood and sticky stuff from its insides. Intelligent, trustful eyes looked up at him, letting the pain flood out. A few yards away in the street was the dark splotch where it had been hit. It had dragged itself to the curb, hindquarters hopelessly crushed. Kieran O'Connor, 9 years old and dressed in his shabby Sunday best, gulped hard to keep from vomiting. The dog was dying. It had to be, the way it was squashed. Her dying was inside her and not Nellie so messy. "Hey, fella. Hey, boy. Hey, poor old boy." The dog's mind projected hurtful love, begging help. He asked it, "You want a miracle?" But it couldn't understand that, of course. The dog said to him, "Flies." They were all over the wounded parts, feeding on the clotted blood and shit, and Kieran grunted in revulsion. He could do something about them at least. "No miracle," he muttered. He set the bag of groceries and the paper down carefully on the sidewalk and hunkered o'er the dog, concentrating. As he focused, the iridescent swarm panicked and took wing, and he let them have it in mid-air. The small green-backed bodies fell onto the hot pavement lifeless, and Kieran O'Connor smiled through his tears and repeated, "No miracle." The dog was grateful. Its mind said, "Thirst." "Say, I got milk!" Kieran pulled the quart bottle out of the grocery bag, tore off the crimped foil cap, and lifted the paper lid, which he licked clean and stowed in his shirt pocket for later. Crouching over the ruined body in the sunshine, holding his breath and letting the pain lose itself inside his own head, he dripped cool milk into the dog's mouth. "Get well. Stop hurting. Don't die." The animal made a groaning sound. It was unable to swallow, and a white puddle spread under its open jaws. From the brain came a medley of apology and agony, and it clung to him. "Don't," he whispered, afraid. "Please don't. I'm trying." A shadow fell over the boy and the dog. Kieran looked up, wild-eyed with terror. But it was only Mr. Dugan, a middle-aged bald man in a sweat-rumpled brown suit. "Oh," said Dugan shortly. "So it's you." he scowled. "I didn't do it, Mr. Dugan. A car hit it." "Well, can't I see that with my own 2 eyes? And what are you doing messing with it? It's a goner, as any fool can see, and if you don't watch out, it'll bite." "It won't." "Don't sass me, boy, and stop wasting good milk on it. I'll phone the Humane Society when I get home, and they'll come and put it out of its misery." Kieran began to recap the bottle of milk. Tears ran down his flushed face. "How?" he said. Dugan threw up his hands impatiently. "Give it something. Put it down, for God's sake. Now get away from it, or I'll be telling your pa." "No," Kieran said. "You go away. Right now." Dugan straightened up and turned, and walked away, leaving Kieran kneeling in the filthy gutter, shielding the dog from the sun. "Put you out of your misery," Kieran whispered, amazed that it could be so simple. Why did Mum try to make it so complicated? He'd never thought about it that way before. Bugs, yes, he didn't care a hoot about them. The rats either. But a dog, or even a person... "You wouldn't take me along, would you?" Kieran asked warily. The pain-filled eyes widened. "Stop loving me and I'll do it. Let go. Lay off." But the dog persisted in its hold. So finally he reached out and rested his fingertips on its head, between its ears, and did it. Oddly, all of the hairs on the dog's body stiffened for an instant and went flat. The animal coughed and lay still, and all pain ceased. Kieran wondered if he should say a prayer, but he felt really rotten, so in the end he just covered the body with the want ad section of the newspaper. His pa never bothered with that part.